Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Debbie Draw. I have a bit of an interesting video for you guys today. As you know, it's October and my favorite holiday, of course, is Halloween. I love Halloween. And I had an interesting idea for a YouTube video to help celebrate Halloween. So basically, what I want to do is I want to take all my children's book characters I've written over the years and created, and I want to draw them as scary monsters for Halloween. I want to try my best to try and create horror versions of my characters as innocent as they're supposed to be and see what they can look like as scary monsters. Now before we get started, I ask that if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Help keep me motivated to keep making more stuff for you guys. Now let's get started. The first character we're going to start with is the character from my latest book, June the Jellyfish. Let's try and make her as scary as possible. So to start off, I like the idea of drawing the regular versions of my characters standing next to the monstrous versions, almost like scared or intimidated by them. So here's just a quick drawing of June, just how she normally looks, her regular cute self. Of course with an added expression of fear. So moving on to the monstrous version of June. I mainly wanted to give her features that would sort of make her look gross. So I did things like giving her lots of wrinkles, I put little vein lines on her forehead, I added little spikes onto her tentacles to make them look more creepy, and lastly I also gave her a tiny mouth with a bunch of tiny little teeth just to make her look that much more creepy. When coloring her in, I used more desaturated pink colors, also shaded with gray, and as a last touch, I colored in all the goo lines with a green color. Alright, that's one character finish, and I have to say, like, she looks pretty scary now. It's like pretty interesting where you can take this if you really sit down and brainstorm, just put on some creepy music. I was really going for something that would make her look gross and like grotesque, because I just figured jellyfish, like in the name, like jelly, I should do something that's kind of gross to that degree. And yeah, I'm very happy with the result. June looks very, very scary. Well, now it's time for the next character. Next we're doing Cutie the polar bear. And once again, we're going to start off by drawing Cutie the polar bear just normally as he is. I'm going to try and use more saturated colors to act as a contrast between him and his monster version. And the expression I tried to give him is an expression of being nervous or anxious, just staring directly at his monstrous counterpart. The approach I took with drawing Cutie's monstrous version is I sort of just tried to focus on what makes a bear normally kind of scary. The thought of running into a hungry bear alone in the woods or startling a real bear is all too scary to me, as some of my favorite horror movies involve a bear attack. Unlike regular Cutie, I colored him in with neutral grays to help keep him desaturated, and after coloring his teeth in yellow and drawing battle scars on his claws, I think this monster drawing was complete. Alright, we're all done with Cutie the polar bear. He's not so cute anymore. I'd call him more like Scary the polar bear. I don't know, Terror the polar bear. Seemed like the finishing touches was like the battle scars and yellow teeth just add that real scary effect to him. He looks pretty frightening now. It seems making his fur more scruffy looking sort of makes him look more animalistic than his regular counterpart. And I think that helped give him a more scary look. Definitely a match up to my June drawing. Well, anyways, Cutie the polar bear is done. Next, we're doing Binky from Binky and the Ball. When it came to drawing Binky, I had a funny idea to do for his pose. So what I did was I took the ball that's from his story and I put it in his hands and posed him in a way that he's almost holding it up to hide himself from his monstrous version. Overall, this ended up being one of my favorite poses for the regular characters. At first, I was struggling to brainstorm ideas for how to draw Binky scary, but then I had the brilliant idea of giving him a mini mouth like a xenomorph from the famous series Alien. I combined that with other details like turning his antennas into stingers. I added claws to his hands, and I gave him big black emotionless eyes, almost like a great white shark. As some finishing touches, I drew in some lines to make him look very skeletal. I filled in the blacks on his claws, and I outlined him one more time with a darker green marker and with a dark multiliner to make him desaturated. Alright, that's character number 3 done. I have to say this one was a little more challenging. It seemed getting those darker colors in and filling the blacks in, like the claws and the stingers, really gave it the final touches to give it more of that spooky look compared to his innocent counterpart. Makes him look more scary, I guess, the desaturated colors. He looks pretty cool. I almost wonder if it'd be fun to like work on a horror story someday, or some sort of horror graphic novel. But anyways, I guess it's time for the next character. Next, we're going to do Cheetah from the Cheetah Spots. When drawing Cheetah, I tried to give him a pose that almost made him look submissive to his scary counterpart. I arched his back so it's flat and his head is down. I pointed his ears back to look like they're in a defensive position, and I also put a slight curve in his tail that would sort of give the feeling of anxiety within him, looking at his scary, monstrous form. When it came to drawing Cheetah's monster form, I sort of did the opposite. I gave him a very dominant pose, like he's ready to attack. Basically just wanted to capture a very visceral, angry looking cat. I gave him large teeth like a saber-toothed tiger, I put large claws on his paws, and I put a very big and dominant arch in his back with a lot of scruffy fur. I also drew his eyes a lot more pointed to make him look meaner, and as a finishing touch, I gave him some drool in his mouth. By the end, overall, I think he looked very scary, like he's ready to attack at any moment. Okay, now I'm done Cheetah. This is turning out to be a lot more fun than I thought. It's fun to take characters that were originally designed to look cute and inviting and try and spin them on their head and give them more extreme proportions and such. I really enjoyed taking inspiration from the saber-toothed tiger and giving Cheetah those massive teeth to help make him more scary. Also arching the back in a way so he looks like he's more in a attack position. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. I find as I'm going, I'm getting better and better at turning my characters into monsters. They're looking pretty spooky. Well, I guess I only have one character left to do, and I saved the best for last, with it being Halloween and all. The final character is going to be the lonely little vampire. Let's start the final character. Now when it came to drawing the lonely little vampire, I wanted to do something different that I didn't do with the rest of the characters. There's actually a part in his story that involves him facing his fear of the boogeyman, so I wanted to give him a pose that reflected that, him trying to be brave towards his monster form. I wanted him to basically be standing up to it and facing it with everything he has. When it came to drawing the monster version of the lonely little vampire, I knew I had to give him a very creepy face. So I gave him a very, very wide smile with some big fangs. As far as the rest of his design, I was very inspired by Slender Man. I like the idea of giving him a V-shaped body with a lot of skeletal-like features and long arms. I also took away that bow tie and gave him a regular shaped tie with the same red color, almost like Slender Man. And I put some tattered holes and rips in the bottom of his cape to make him look a little more aged. The finishing touches were adding blue to his skin to make him look more dead and putting some blood around his fangs. Alright, we now have our horror version of the lonely little vampire. I guess now he's just a regular vampire. I actually really enjoyed how he turned out. Yeah, he's looking quite horrifying. The blood around his teeth is like a very scary touch, maybe a little over the top, but that's the whole point of this video, is to make them as scary as possible, so I really like it. I think so far he's actually my favorite now out of the 5. And that is now the final character. I now have a scary version of all my children's book characters. Alright, I guess that concludes my monster drawing video. I just want to say, for the sake of the little kids, these are all fictional versions of them. I declare, as the writer of these characters, that these monster versions of them do not exist. They are not canon. So, no need to fear their possible existence. Anyways, guys, this was actually a fun little experiment. I never really have dived into monster drawing or trying to create scary art, and this was a nice little learning experiment for me to learn how to take something and make it look scary. How to find those sort of unappealing features and apply them to something. But anyways, thanks for watching my video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope everyone has an awesome Halloween. Until next time, keep on drawing, guys. See you later. Oh, and happy Halloween.